Julia, over to you.
Thank you very much, Diana, and also welcome from my side. My name is Giulia Pizzini. I work at IECP, which is the Institute for European Energy and Climate Policies, which is a private foundation based in the Netherlands. And was project coordinator for this project. So just very quickly to frame this meeting, I just wanted to say a few words on Prospect Cube. So the main mission of the project is to offer a tested and robust capacity building program based on peer-to-peer learning in order to build knowledge of local and regional authorities on how to implement some actions included in their SECAP, so sustainable energy and climate plans or similar plans, not relying solely on grants or public finance, but also using blending, so components of private financing. And this is true both for the use of innovative financing schemes, such as EPC or crowdfunding, or from this version of Prospect on, also for enabling structures, which are organizations such as one-stop shops, energy agencies, energy communities that foster the uptake of energy and climate measures. If you can go to the next slide, please, Daniela. So the name Prospect Cube is because this is the third, let's say, edition of the project, which builds on the two former editions, Prospect and Prospect Plus. This project runs for 36 months. And so it started last year in October, and it will run for 3 years. And it's a consortium of 12 partners, which you can see here on the screen. I will not go too much into detail, but we have 2 networks. We have 7 internal mentors, who are local and regional authorities or their agencies who are quite advanced in implementing actions using innovative financing. And then we have some research institutes, so 3 knowledge partners such as us and EURAC and TISLab in Athens. If you go to the next slide, please. This is the core of the Prospect Cube project, so the capacity building program. We offer 3 levels of capacity building. So level 1 is called the Prospect Community, and it's an open access learning opportunity for everyone where everyone can join. So it's an online platform where people can register and learn at their own pace. So there you will find videos, tools, discussion forums, quizzes, and documents that you can read to enhance your knowledge on the topics of Prospect. Then we move to the second level, which is the Prospect Learning Program. Here you need to actively apply and propose an idea that you have to implement an action in your city or region, which is, for example, refurbishing a set of buildings or building an energy community. And here you will be matched with a mentor, which can be one of our internal mentors that I mentioned before, or an external mentor. And then you will be put in a learning group, a small learning group, 5 to 7 participants. And in this group, you will be able to follow a more in-depth learning on the topic you choose, which is a compilation of online learning, so 2 or 3 meetings online with the mentor, and also a site visit, which is completely reimbursed by the project to visit the mentor's site and also see the project for yourself. And then we have a third level, which is the advanced mentoring. So the people that have joined level 2 but want to advance even more in the advancement of their project, they can also apply for this advanced mentoring and will be given more opportunity to exchange with their mentor. Lastly, in March 2026, we will open the possibility to apply to the first learning cycle, which will start in May of this year. So follow us to know more. At the end of this meeting, we will give you all the details on how to follow us on LinkedIn or on our website. And very, very quickly, just also to understand why we are having this webinar today, the last slide of my set of slides, Daniele, please, is about the policy work. So Prospect doesn't only offer the capacity building program, but has many other activities or side activities that are ongoing, one of which is the policy work we want to do. And within all the policy work, we want to support local and regional authorities in understanding also what is happening at EU level and how this can have an impact on the ground, so on their territories. So this is the first of these informative webinars that we are organizing, but more will follow, not only at EU level, but also at national level. So we will be offering webinars also in Italian, French, Spanish, and all the other languages that are part of this project. I think that's it for me. Thank you very much. And back to you, Diane.
Thank you very much, Julia, for framing the context. We now move to the broader picture. What is actually on the table in the next EU budget? What shifts should we anticipate? To guide us through these questions, I'm pleased to welcome Melanie Bourgeois from Energy Cities. Melanie, over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So I have the big task to introduce you to what is the next EU budget and why is it important for regional and local authorities. So first, to start on the next slide, what is the MFF, the Multiannual Financial Framework, and why is it important for local authorities? So it is the long-term EU budget for a 7 years period. And right now we have started the negotiation for the next period, so 2028-2034. It's a set of financial priorities. It covers all European funds and programs that you know and that you use today, structural funds that go via the national and the regional level, and also the sectorial one that you know, like Horizon, Life, INTERREG, Erasmus, and the programs like Eurobact or Mission Cities. It also gives a political dimension. You can go to the next slide. A political direction to what is the EU, because when you set the big financial priorities, it's also the big political priorities that are set. And the European Commission proposed what they want to do with the next EU budget back in July last year. It's a slightly bigger budget, but it encompasses the reimbursement of the post-COVID debt. So it's not that big, that much of an increase if you consider that. The big focus is on simplification, to trying to reduce the numbers of programs, went from 52 to 16, increasing the flexibility. It has new priorities. Overall defense is very high. Energy is also very high, with this aspect of security, and competitiveness, of course, is another overarching priorities. It's divided in 4 big pieces. The first one is the one I will explain now, and it's about social territorial cohesion, also agriculture, prosperity and security. And the second, in yellow, is the competitiveness, prosperity and security pillar that my colleague Michael will explain after. We will not touch upon the global Europe and the parts on the administration because it's not that relevant for the prospect community. Just to add that a difference with before is that the European Commission proposed to have a budget that is tracked. The performance of the budget will be tracked. So they propose a set of indicators to try to have a more performance-focused budget. And these indicators, we will talk a bit about them in a moment. And the Commission also proposed to have new own resources at the European level to finance this budget. This is still in negotiation, and it's not the big focus of ProspectQ, but just to know that this is also financed with European own resources. Next slide. Thank you. So what is the core of prospects is this dimension on climate and energy. So when you look at the EU budget, the Commission has proposed to have a 35 climate and environment spending target. They also propose a 15 social spending targets, and to apply the do not significantly harm principle over the whole budget. Of course, it depends very much what you consider as being social or climate spending, and the Commission has proposed a set of indicators for that, and it will change. So far, there are some that look very good and others that could be criticized. So I think it will change over the course of the negotiation. But this is in general a positive news to have this focus across the entire EU budget because this is new. And yeah, just to give a figure, the Jacques Delors Institute calculated that the EU budget foresee 158.2 billion euro that will be for energy and climate projects. This is a big envelope. It will not be only for the local level, as it also encompasses big projects that will happen cross borders, that will happen at the national or European level. Next slide, please. So now I will get in explaining this first pillar that has a very long name and that is already in Brussels called the Fund, because Brussels like to give short names to what is very long. It represents 44% of the total amount of the EU budget, and it will operate through 3 different plans. The first one is the first way to spend this fund is to have 27 national and regional partnership plans. I will go more in details about this after, but this is where we will have cohesion, we will have agriculture, we will have security all together in one pot managed at the national level in partnership with regional authorities. We will have a second aspect that is the INTERREG plan. It's integrated in this first pillar, but it will be quite similar as what it is today as INTERREG program, a slightly bigger amount, but quite similar. And the last one is the EU facility that will be managed at the European level, and I will details that after. Just to say that in this slide, we can also see that there are some amounts that are already ring-fenced. We have one for the CAP, for the agriculture policy. We have some for the less developed regions, some that are already defined for home affairs. And we have one budget in blue in the middle that is not ring-fenced in the initial proposition of the Commission. Next slide, please. So a very important aspect for us is this proposition to have national and regional partnership plans. This is fully new for the EU budget. It's proposed to work like the recovery and resilience plan, in the idea that it's a budget given to member states against reforms that they have to operate. And the difference with the recovery plans is that it incorporates principles of partnership and multi-level governance, which the resilience plan was not actually doing. As I said, it's a big pot with very different priorities from agriculture, cohesion, social, migration, all in the same pot, which did not make everyone happy in Brussels. The European Parliament was and is still very vocal about this. A big difference with before is that it merges funds that you know, like the ERDF, the European Regional Development Fund. And this time there is no urban earmarking that is planned as it was before in this pot for urban regions. In the structure, it's proposed that these national and regional plans have different chapters. So member states are able to define how they want to organize their plans. They can have sectorial, geographical chapters, and there is an optional chapters for regional and territorial aspects. So yeah, so far this is optional. Next slide, please. A second way to spend the first big pot of the MFF is the EU facility. So this is a flexible tool that will be under direct or shared management by the European Commission. It's a tool that is also new and that is foreseen to serve as response mechanism to the crisis and complement or support the implementation of the national and regional partnership plans. It will include different programs and very different priorities. I selected some here that are important for the prospective community. Like there is a line, a budget, there is a priority line about life, environment and biodiversity, but with no reinforced budget. There is also a line about supporting urban communities in development of innovative projects, which I read as being currently the Eurobec project, again with no earmarking, no specific earmarking. So this is a very big pot with many different priorities, and it will probably land also at the local level, but not only. Yes, so this was for the EU facility. Next slide, please. I told you that the negotiations are going on. So the Commission, following some heavy pressure from the Parliament in the second semester last year, has proposed already some changes to its own propositions for the budget. So now we have, in addition, a 10% earmarking for rural areas, and also stronger wording on multi-level governance with a regional check that is proposed and I think to be further defined. Next slide, please. So from this first pillar, what you need to remember is that there are these national and regional partnership plans, and that the Commission will keep still some programs under direct management in this EU facility, and that they will still be an INTERREG program. In general, the goal is to simplify and to have a more flexible budget. There is a big focus on energy and energy security. And a downside of this is maybe that for local government, there are overall less guarantees and safeguards. I said that there are national funds. It also means like a nationalization, a centralization of the funds. We don't see obligation for regional or territorial chapters so far. They are optional. There is no earmarking for urban development programs or territorial tools. The reduction of the number of programs I think can be a great news in terms of simplification and flexibility. But so far there are a lot of uncertainties, and it's normal maybe because we're not at this stage of the negotiation yet, but there are a lot of uncertainties about what will be the content of this program and how they will work. It's not defined yet. And we really see the necessity for local government to be then involved in the definition of these work programs and of the governance of these funds at the national level or at the EU level as well. And this performance framework to track the results might also impact local authorities on the way that the kind of budget that can be financed might be slightly different, because the managing authorities will need to track the results, so will ask maybe some different impact for the projects. These were the key takeaways. Maybe now also for next steps in the next slide. So the negotiations are ongoing. So everything we will tell you today is not set in stones. I think some big principle will remain, but we can always have some changes. Negotiation will be mainly this whole year until I think spring next year for the final details. The member states are expected to submit their national and regional partnership plans by July 2027. And all the programs should start with the start of the new budget in January 2028. We know that some member states have already start already to reflect on what will be in their national and regional partnership plans at the moment, because they need to start these plans even if the negotiations at the EU level are not finalized. And I have a last slide. It's developed by the Cities Network. Some are in the call today. It's a members mobilization kit, and it's for local actors and regional actors to have like some key takeaways, some main messages, and also main demands to discuss with their managing authorities, with their national governments, with some resources like model of letters that they can send to try to raise awareness on some worrying points and also maybe some positive point of the budget. And this is a webinar series that Energy Cities will continue, and we will have the next one on the 12th of March. Now I'll give back the floor to Diana.
Thank you, Melanie, for a comprehensive overview. It's time for a Q&A, and I see that there are already several points emerging in the chat. First question from Alex is, you said 35% of a spending target. Do you mean 35% of the budget will be for climate and environmental projects? Could you clarify, Melanie?
Yes, that's right.
Great.
I think there are, just to precise, there are some parts of the, this is for the overall budget. There are some parts of the budget, and the one I presented, that it will be 45% even the target for climate spending, and other parts of the budget where it will be different targets, but the overall target for the budget is 35%.
Thank you, Melanie. Another one from Loic. Could you tell us a bit more about the Social Climate Fund, the ETS, Melanie?
Yes, so the social climate plans that are the social compensation for the ETS2, so the emission trading system that will be set on transport and building. So the ETS is postponed, but when it will come out, social and climate plans will come with this ETS system, and these social climate plans will be integrated in the national and regional partnership plans. So the big national and regional partnership plans I presented to you, they will integrate the social climate plans as one element of these plans as of 2028. From what is proposed in the proposal right now, but the timelines might change with the delay of the ETS.
Great, thank you. Moving on, another question from Anna. Could you tell us more about INTERREG program? Is it going to exist in the future as it is now?
Yes. So it will exist as the future in the future. The size is a small increase. There are some small differences. For example, it will be one single plan that will need to be integrated with what is on the table with the national and regional partnership plans. But inside this single plan for INTERREG, you will have different chapters for specific geographical areas supporting still the same kind of program, so cross-border, transnational, interregional, and outermost regions. So from what I've seen, it will work in the same way, small increase in the budget, and some change in the governance. And for the priorities, I don't have them in mind at the moment, but we can always check that after.
Great. And the last question from Nadej. Do you have any information about the template of NRPP that the Commission has to provide? And also, when will this be provided?
So there is already in the annex of the proposed regulation, there is already a first version of the template. But this is something that is not definitive yet, where you already have how these plans will need to be structured, the different chapters that are proposed, and I think there are already some demands to specify the territorial impact, the territorial measures, yes, so we can already see the template there. I think it will need to be definitive because so far it's still being negotiated, and the Commission will provide further guidelines and I guess support the member states in the making of these plans, but I don't have a timeline for this.
Thank you, Melanie, for the reflections. There is one more clarifying question in the chat regarding the INTERREG program. If you can respond in writing, as we need to move on to the next speaker. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, so let us now zoom in on a specific instrument, the European Competitiveness Fund. What does it mean in practice for financing local sustainable energy actions? To explore this, I invite my colleague, Mikael Biankin from Fedaren. Mikael, the floor is yours.
Super, thank you very much, Jenna. And I have to say thank you very much, Melanie, for managing to somewhat explain in simple terms this very complicated fund and set up the scene for my part of the presentation, which is indeed focusing on the European Competitiveness Fund, which is itself a part of the second heading that Melanie presented within the overall MFF. Diana, if you could go for the next slide. Oh, I think it's Daniele. Yes. Super. So what is this European Competitiveness Fund? So as I mentioned earlier, it's a section of the second heading of the MFF, who is very much centered on competitiveness, prosperity. If you can recall the presentation Melanie just made earlier. Melanie presented the MFF as being a representation of political priorities and with a understanding of simplification being one of at the core, competitiveness in defense. The European Competitiveness Fund is nearly a caricature of this description, in the sense that we are simplifying 14 different programs into one single fund, with only Horizon Europe remaining as a standalone program. We are having a significant decrease to the points of defense, notably, and having a large share of defense being part of what is being financeable through the fund. And competitiveness is very much the new word of the game. And if there's one thing I would like you to take away from my presentation, is what was previously linked to the transition is now being labeled through this new keyword of competitiveness. For those who are European savvy, you might know that it reached a point where this word is now being needs to be examined by the Commission to be a bit more precise due to the European Court quite recently. Daniele, the next slide, please. So I would like to focus a bit on this European Competitiveness Fund. As mentioned, we have the fund and in addition Horizon Europe, which remains as a standalone program. If you were to take the overall cake of this share, we would have 32% of the money being dedicated to Horizon. I will go a bit more in detail on Horizon in the next slide. And then the remaining of the fund being shared amongst clean transition, industrial decarbonization, resilience and security, defense, industry and space, health, biotech, agriculture and the bioeconomy, and digital leadership as being the biggest shares of the cake. Here, I would like to focus a bit on the second heading for the MFF, the first one on my list, which is the clean transition and industrial decarbonization. Within the fund, it represents 23 billion euros, with an addition of 3.5 billion that will be injected through the innovation fund, which I will not cover here, not to confuse you too much, but in the sense that that part of the heading will be increased in nominal terms. This is where we find a lot of the programs that are the mostly, let's say, important for cities and energy agencies, which I believe are also part of the audience today. Notably, the remainder of what Melanie presented of the LIFE program is being found in this heading of the ECF. I will go a bit further in detail about the LIFE program in another slide, but this is to give you a bit the overall share of what exists in the ECF. So next slide, please. So what is new for Horizon? Well, first of all, the fund is significantly increased. I believe it's close to 63% increase based on the previous fund, with 4 different pillars dividing the headings of what will be the topics covered by Horizon. Here we have so in the first heading, excellence in science, competitiveness in society for the second, innovation for the third, and finally European research area for the fourth. Having a bit of a focus here, I think that we can notice quite well straight away that the second pillar is the one that would be the most relevant for local authorities and their energy agencies, with this focus on the competitiveness being a significant part of the pillar. Here, while not on the list, the other topics such as housing and democracy are also part of this second pillar in Horizon in Europe. We're keeping in this case a similar structure with calls and proposals being sent based on a multi-annual work plan. So in practice, will not change too much, at least from what we know of now for you on Horizon Europe. So what to keep in mind, bigger pot, and this focus on competitiveness taking over compared to the previous MFF. Next slide, please. So we have the chance to focus a bit more on the LIFE program. So as Melanie mentioned, part of this LIFE program is now being managed in the first part of the MFF, notably the parts linked to nature-based solutions and biodiversity. However, a significant part of the LIFE program is now being found within what is called LIFE activities within the ECF, part of this second heading on competitiveness. Here we will find a lot of the headings and different topics that were covered in the previous LIFE CET. Expanding on well, energy efficiency, heating and cooling, and so on. So we will still have most of what is part of the LIFE program being found here within the ECF. Once again, with the caveat to see that competitiveness is taking over the talks of what was before more linked to the transition. I would just like to highlight here that the funding for the LIFE activities are quite good in the current proposal, with eligibility cost being able to go up to 100% and 25% of the indirect costs being covered within these LIFE activities. The big caveat here as well for the LIFE program is that there's no ring fencing within this fund, meaning that the LIFE activities are still very much being in competition within the rest of the topics being covered within this second pillar of the Competitiveness Fund. And well, while this could be concerning, it's also important to highlight the importance of the mainstreaming of this LIFE program within the fund, but we will have the chance to discuss this later in the breakout sessions, and I don't want to overtake too much my time. Next slide, please. The key takeaways for me that I would like you to really carry back home is the fact that within the ECF, I think it's quite clear that we didn't have the chance to really have any mention of a territorial approach within DCF or Horizon. Well, simply because there's none. It's not something that is being part of the approach, and this is very much lacking. I will jump straight to the question of governance, in the sense that this touch from the implementers, which you represent, the cities and energy agencies, might very much be at risk of being lost in the current organization. And having, let's say, a direction of including them in the governance and the steering of this fund is something that we need to maybe consider going forward in the negotiations. Competitiveness, once again, is a keyword, replacing a bit what was part of the previous green transition, and that is something that will be a bit of a red thread when we will reach the moments where we'll be looking for the funding opportunities in the next MFF. The split of the LIFE program is especially threatening for the biodiversity and natural-based initiatives who are stuck in DCF, but we see that the initiatives who are part sorry, not in DCF, but in the facility and in the first heading of the MFF. However, the second one linked to the ECF are still very much being present and available for cities. Maybe to highlight the fact that within this simplification of the ECF, the idea is to have one rule book for all these previous 14 programs. So that's also part of the simplification being pronounced and being aimed within this new MFF. And the big question that still remains is how exactly will it look like in practice? We are still in a phase where the rollout and how it's actually will be accessible is still being quite blurry, and that is something that we need to really focus on going forward in this negotiation and when we reach a bit more closer to the implementation phase for the MFF. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mikhail.
And maybe one slide before, I would like to highlight that, as Melanie mentioned, the cities networks had the chance to really gather a bit this input and have a bit the different analysis of what is being proposed within the MFF, having gathered a bit the different amendments and different modifications we would like to have, also including for the ECF, so you have more complementary information about that on the different kits being shared to you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mikhail, for presenting ECF to us. Now it's time for a Q&A, and I see that we already do have some questions. The first one from Irene. Will local and regional authorities have direct access to all funding streams under the ECF?
Sorry, can you repeat? I didn't get your question.
Whether the local and regional authorities will have direct access to all funding streams under the ECF.
So while not being directly quoted as beneficiaries, cities and regions are very much still capable of accessing the parts, the funds linked to ECF, so that they will indeed be eligible to access this.
Thank you. Next one from Juliana. Where will funding opportunities for LIFE's CET projects be located and accessed?
So most of the elements of Life CET, if not all of them, are integrated within the ECF in this second pillar on competitiveness. And so they are now called Life activities in the current proposal. That's where you will find them.
Great, thank you. Another question from Loic. What governance structure is foreseen for the ECF, and who will ultimately be responsible for its strategic direction and oversight?
So there's two different, we're orienting a bit of a technical question here, but within the proposal, we are having a strategic steering committee being established. And currently, and that's what I wanted to highlight in my presentation, this is where we are lacking a bit the regional and place-based approach in the current composition. So member states are trying to have a bit of a better edge and presence in this strategic committee and trying to steer a bit the orientation of the ECF and what is being composed there, but it's very much at the European level that this is decided. So this is a bit the difference with what was presented by Mélanie, while the first part in the NRP plans and what is composed of the first heading, besides the facility, are ended up at member state level. What is within the ECF is still being steered at the European level.
We have time for the last question from Julia. Is there any indication on which EU mission will continue? And regarding Life CET, is there any indication on whether the specific annual work programs, and therefore the specific topics, will be similar to the ones we see now, or if it will be more focused on industry and competitiveness?
So I will start with the second part. There's clearly a focus in the life activities on competitiveness in industry, and that is something also that needs to be said and worried within the life activities. And we are seeing, especially when it comes to the focus on decarbonization, as being a heavy focus of what is being planned for the life activities. For the first question, I think it would make more sense for me to answer in writing to allow a bit more of a detailed answer there. And I think that for that we can move forward.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Mikael, and thank you everyone for asking your questions. This brings us to what I believe is the most important part of today's webinar, and that is your perspective. Welcome back, everyone. It's great to see how lively the discussions were. I hope that you learn from each other, and we will continue with the exchange also after this webinar. Now, I would like to ask three of my colleagues to present the main takeaways from the discussion that was held in the breakout rooms. And I will call the first one will be Julia Viero, please.
Yes, thank you, Diana. So our discussion at first started with an example from Slovakia, and I really tried to be quite short regarding the formulation of these national partnership plans, and there is a concern that was raised on how much regional focus is there against versus those national priorities that seems to be pushed forward. Then we moved with more examples onto which existing tools and mechanisms in the participants' countries work well to channel these EU funds towards cities and more local realities. And there are several mechanisms, for example, in Ireland, but the question is whether they are successful, they are effective enough, and do they work well? I will stay in Ireland and jump to the following question because it was quite an interesting case. So regarding the preference or more the familiarity of local and regional authorities towards national funding programs. Reason why, because local authorities, and this might not come as a surprise for anyone, local authorities are hardly capable of obtaining EU funding or loans, especially in those cases where CAPEX is quite large or there are higher investment projects. So they're better to being matched with national funding. And if I'm saying something completely out of place, please do stop me anytime. I'm trying to rephrase. And because I'm aware of the time, and I'm sure then we will share our notes later after this webinar, I wanted to leave you with two key messages mainly. So we within the discussion we came to the conclusion that there is this narrative of how to integrate, how to mainstream EU funding so that they can be absorbed by local authorities. So it is not a matter of are they capable to access and obtain funding, but there is also the second part. Once that funding, loan, grant is obtained, how to effectively absorb it and use it.
Thank you, Julia. I need to stop you.
Sorry, yes.
Last sentence. If you have any last sentence before we move. No, good. Okay.
No, just the main issue, what happens after the funding comes to an end. So issue of longevity.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Blandine, could you present us in 2 minutes the main outcome of the French speaking group?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Diana. So in our breakout room, we were about 15 people from France and Belgium. So French speaking, but covering 2 countries. We had a discussion on whether the national regional partnership plan have already started or not in the country. Apparently not really. Participants didn't hear about any organized discussion yet, but there was mentioned a bottom-up initiative from a network of local authorities in the region of Brussels, Brulocalis, who wrote a letter to the ministry to start a conversation around the partnership plan. On what we discussed then globally is the need for further on better cooperation at regional level, and including really this multi-level governance subject. So yes, it's important that local and regional authorities mobilize to start these discussions. We talked also about the issue of co-financing in the different funding programs, and a clear need for more cascade funding mechanisms, which actually enable the participation of smaller actors, which is also quite important, and more flexibility in the call, moving to some mechanisms like, I don't know, guichet unique, or yes, one-stop shop, or continuous open call, where local and regional authorities can submit a proposal to ask for funding whenever they are ready to do it, and are not obliged to stick to call timelines, which is not always relevant and appropriate.
Thank you, Blandine.
Yes.
Any last sentence?
Yes, we discussed also the need for how to improve innovation and the partnership approach. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Julia,
please.
Yeah, thank you, Julia and Blandine. Thank you, Diana. So I'm not going by order of questions, but a bit mixing just to keep a narrative. So I think that the messages that came out is that there is a general sense of worry because regions and cities and territories rely a lot on subsidies and grants, and there is no visibility or clarity on the future of these funds, especially for the cohesion funds, I guess, and which are not yet super well detailed in the proposal. And there is also a bit of worry about the different directions that different member states might take depending on their own priorities. So this might change a lot what is in the possibilities of the different local and regional authorities depending on where they are located. Apparently, we discussed about Sweden, France, and Greece, and it seems that in general there is a good average knowledge about EU funding. Regarding the national and regional partnership plans and discussions ongoing, in Sweden, discussion has started and regions are invited to submit comments until the summer to the central government. We also heard that in France there was an ongoing discussions within regions, but there also a bit of worry because it seems that money would be there, but would be less, but nobody knows how much less. So this is, of course, something that needs to be monitored. whereas in Italy and Greece, participants didn't know of any evolution on the discussion on these funds. Something that I would like to point out is that there was also a bit of optimism, because apparently if there are too many grants or subsidies, it's easy to be lazy. So the fact that even territories are pushed to look more for private financing and other types of resources could also be seen as positive, meaning that there needs to be a shift in mentality together with a shift of narrative. So ideally, like, it seemed that we all shared that we can continue to do what we are here for. So to push for the energy transition or the green transition, we just need to change the name of it and refer more to competitiveness or defense and align with the new wordings.
Thank you very much, Julia. Perfect timing. This brings us to the end of today's webinar. We will, of course, send you the notes, the slides. Probably you will have access to the recording as well. And don't forget to follow Prospect on LinkedIn. I drop the link to the chat. We post there updates and news regarding the innovative financing. So thank you very much, and I wish you an excellent day.